What's up, my upper echelonians? This your boy Upper Echelon, and I'm here with another banger for you. Y'all hit that like, that share, and that subscribe button. And you know here, we got the best and the hottest live audience right here, so join the channel so you can get on there. All opinions are welcome. Nobody is discriminated from their opinion. You know, we all got different opinions as boxing, but we keep it 100% real over here. And it's unbiased, and we keep it all the way real. So, and shout out to Bud Crawford, 2-time undisputed, first male ever did it. Shout out to Errol Spence, gave us a brilliant fight. Well, he gave us the fight that we wanted. But Terrence Crawford did something legendary on Saturday night. He did something that puts him up there with the all-time greats. With the Floyd Mayweathers, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Sugar Ray Robinsons. And a lot of people like, Upper Echelon, you bullshitting. No, I'm not. If you sit back and look, Floyd Mayweather doesn't have an Errol Spence on his resume. He doesn't have a world beater like Errol Spence on his resume. And this man is 2 times undisputed. Floyd ain't do it 1 time. But I'm not about to go into that on this video. What I'm about to go to is how he cracked the riddle that was Errol Spence. See, everybody think Bud just had this training camp to prepare for Earl. That is not the case. What Bud did, he's been on a 5-year plan. He is very instinctual, and that man has a high IQ. He's on a 5-year plan to destroy Errol Spence, and his plan succeeded. We all remember that infamous meeting where Bud sized up Earl. You know, he was squeezing Earl muscle, touched the stomach, and said, well, you big, you fat, all that. If Bud and Earl would have fought at that time, Earl would have train wrecked him. Bud was just getting to the division. He was still small for the division, and he hadn't filled out yet. He hadn't had his welterweight legs yet, right? Let's do it like this. Every fight that Bud had, it was in preparation for Errol Spence. You know, he was fighting the fighters that Errol Spence fought. He was getting his muscles ready. He was filling out. You know, the man was developing. See, Bud did one key thing, and I said he could have been an all-time great. He's a brilliant athlete, but I said he didn't have the fights to make him break through and push to the next level. But he picked up the little things on the fighters that he was in the ring with, because every fighter brings something new. And you know, his IQ, he picked up on something new. But Bud developed one key thing that won him this fight. One thing, that jab. The jab is the start all, end all of everything in boxing. The jab. Now, even when I made the videos, the 47 Raging Palms of Errol Spence, I've always told y'all, Earl is the juggernaut. Once the juggernaut gets to moving, you can't stop him. The best way to stop the juggernaut is before he gets started, while he's standing still. Bud has always had like a pawing jab, like a jab that he keeps in your face, like a really an ineffectual jab. This training camp, Bud worked on a shotgun jab. He had a jab that was fierce, quick, and brutal. And it was his right hand. A southpaw's kryptonite is a straight right. Bud's jab was a straight right all night. And he was lined up so he could shoot it every time Earl shot his shot. And with Bud being the faster man and the longer reach, and with his dominant hand, he was able to beat Earl to the punch each time. See, Bud has an advantage being a southpaw fighter that's right-handed. He has his dominant hand in the front position. While he fights another southpaw, his dominant hand is in the back position with his weak hand up front. That's why Bud is so effective as a southpaw. Because when he fights fighters, he confuses them when he switches from orthodox, because they're used to the timing of him with his slower hand up front. They're used to hitting 80-mile fastballs When he switches, he's throwing them at 100 mile an hour. So the timing is disrupted. They can't time him. With Errol, he was right there. He would shoot his jab. Bud would fire it off. As soon as Errol fired, he used to get there faster. Because Earl's throwing his weaker hand and Bud's throwing a stronger hand. And pow, he's catching Errol. He's disrupting Earl's timing. Earl's not able to get going because he starts everything off his jab. Now Bud is shooting a hard straight, so that jab is busting Errol up. When he caught Errol in the back of the head or the side of the ear, he messed with Earl's equilibrium on that second shot. That really had Errol kind of discombobulated throughout the fight. But Bud continued to pick Errol apart until like the 5th, 6th round. Errol realized the only thing he could do is just go for broke because Bud was taking away his offense. Bud was doing what he wanted to do, and he was picking Errol apart. And see, Bud was hitting him with combination shots. Errol ain't used to somebody with that type of hand speed hitting him with more than one shot. So when Errol's trying to get away from the shots and going backwards, Bud is catching him with 1 and 2, 3 shots. So then Errol, he started trying to duck away from the shots, and he would dip his head right there into Bud's power. And Bud would step back and catch him clean. Errol started getting desperate, started lunging like we said he shouldn't, and he started following Bud around instead of cutting the ring off. And Bud set the traps and was destroying Errol. I mean, it's just plain and simple. That's what he did. He sat there. He made Errol look average that night. But Errol has the heart of a champion. He tried. And Bud just had more preparation for that. Like, Bud has different tools. So if you take away one, he can go to another one. And Errol, if you take away his jab, he can go to other tools, but not against a fighter like Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford is an elite top-level fighter. And Errol was just outmatched. It was his arrogance. Then, with Errol staying down at the weight for so long, you got to realize Errol can only use about 50% of his muscles. While Bud filled out to the division, Bud is a natural welterweight now. He walks around like a welterweight. Bud only had to cut about 12, 15 pounds this camp because Bud naturally weighs around that poundage. And so he put on about 5 pounds of muscle. Errol couldn't put on no muscle. He had to be very gentle with what he did and follow a strict regimen. So that's why Errol looked so weak and puny versus Bud, and Bud using all of his strength. Now, Errol got by with lesser fighters. But if you and another fighter have the same skill set and y'all on the same level, but you can only use 50% of your skill, your power and strength and speed, and he can use 100% of it, he's going to beat you down. It's no contest. And that's what Errol found out. And at 154, it'll be a more competitive fight, more closer. But Errol will probably have to fight Bud at 160 to really give his 100%. But I would like to see it at 154. Shout out to Bud, the new #1 fighter in the world. And you can't take nothing from him. Got to give him his flowers. Even though EJ looked a little off, I think he overtrained. Like when he did his sets, Derek James kept saying he wanted to do 15 more minutes, 30 more minutes. It's sometimes you can overtrain your body. And I think that might be the case. I think it was overtrained and less preparation because they didn't do really nothing different. They tried to come with the same game plan, and that game plan got disrupted. So I hope Derek James, the brilliant coach that he is, takes Errol back to the drawing board and they develop something to stop that power jab and they get Errol in the business. And hopefully with his strength, Errol will be able to do what he could do because Bud was clearly the bigger fighter. Errol doesn't let you clinch him up. When he felt Bud's strength, Errol accepted the clinches. When I seen Errol accepting Bud clinches, then I knew it was over with. But it's your boy Upper Echelon. I keep it real all the time, man, whether I like it or not. Errol Spence still my guy, but I'm a fan of boxing. So, Bud, shout out to you. You done got back on my list as a great fighter. And so, peace and blessings to each and every one of y'all. It's Upper Echelon, and I'm out.